Hi, I'm Danny from Scott Country International. Welcome to the Night Vision Show, and welcome to a bumper show we have tonight. So, tonight we're going to look at 3 brand new products from HIKMICRO, and more importantly for the viewers, to be a chance to win an outstanding prize. Tonight we're discussing the brand new Alpex 4K LRF, the Stellar 2.0, and the Lynx 2.0. Welcome to the Night Vision Show. So welcome to the Night Vision Show. Thanks for joining us this evening and seeing in the spring with HIKMICRO. Before we get started, a few things to remember. We are live. If you have a question, please put it in the message bar and we'll work through and get down to it during the show. The prize for tonight will be a brand new HIKMICRO Alpex 4K LRF worth $849.99. So stay tuned on how to win that. Before we begin with the bumper intro to new products, I would like to introduce the team for tonight. So we have Joseph, Tim, and Robin, and Paul Hodgson. There we are. Unfortunately, Rips isn't able to make it tonight. However, he has got a pre-recorded message for us. So, just before we get started, let's look at the new products promotional video. So tonight for the next hour, we're going to be looking at the new Alpex 4K LRF with a great video from Mark Ripley. Tim is going to compare the new Stellar 2.0 against the original one, and Joseph will compare the Lynx 2.0 against the original version. Joseph and Paul will be discussing the change to the Scottish day regulations, and Robin will be explaining the fundamental differences between the use of night vision and thermal scopes. And then Paul Hodgson will be explaining what the HIK combo recommendations are and the warm-up for what's going to be coming at the British Shooting Show, where HIK and Scott Country International will be at stand E2 and 3. So, however, I know you're all wanting to see what the prizes are, the Alpex 4K LRF. So here are the 3 things you need to do in order to get a chance to win this fantastic prize. So, subscribe to HIKMICRO Alpex 4K launch event on our Facebook page. Then follow our official accounts on social media platforms at HIKMICRO Hunting on UK and Ireland Facebook, at Elite Optical Facebook and YouTube, at Scott Country International Facebook, and at The Night Vision Show on YouTube. During the live stream, a secret code will appear in the video, a total of 7 letters. Simply enter the correct code in the comment section, and one winner will be randomly selected. Right. Back to the show. So first up, we have Joseph and Paul, who are going to discuss the changes in Scottish day regulations. Joseph and Paul, over to you.
Thanks, Danny. Hello, everybody. Welcome, and thanks for joining us here on this live show tonight, hosted by Scott Country International. I'm here with Joe. Joe is one of our leading deer specialist, shall I say. Joe, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us all about yourself, mate.
So hi everybody, Joe, working with Scott Country International as a pro staff member. My passions with hunting are mainly based around deer and deer management, mainly down in the southwest of England. I got involved with sort of thermals and night vision gear quite a while ago, and yeah, it's become a real passion of mine, and that's how I ended up getting in touch with Scott Country and doing a bit of work with them really. So yeah, enjoyed it a lot so far.
Thanks very much, mate. So the end of last year, things changed slightly in Scotland, well, quite dramatically in Scotland. Would you like to give us an overview of what you think the benefits of those changes are and what those changes were?
Yeah, so sure. So 3 quite significant changes really. So the first, the change to the close season for male deer in Scotland. So prior to the changes, which came on the 21st of October, you were only allowed to shoot male deer, obviously, whilst they were in season. Nature Scott have now fully removed any close. I guess this is to get on top of numbers. It's to enable deer managers to do a better job of what they're doing throughout the whole of the year. And there's obviously significant government reasons and things like that for what they have been doing. So this is a big change, and we're not here this evening to discuss opinions on whether it's positive or negative. I'm sure there'll be some people that would have, it's 50 of this and 50 of that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course it is.
But
As
that
with
is
everything, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the change.
Okay, so the difference now has changed so that we can use digital and thermal. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly that. Yeah. So the firearms order from the 3rd of November, I think it was, basically sees us using a sight of any type, including light intensifying, heat sensitive, or any other special sighting device to shoot deer. So obviously before that, purely glass, not wanting to engage in any of that kind of stuff. Still remembering, of course, that the regular regulations, unless you manage to get a night license and apply to Nature Scott.
That's exactly what I was just going to say, mate. Yeah.
You've gone right. Sorry, before sunrise and an hour after sunset.
So that stays the same unless you've got a special license.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great. And there's also a change to bullet weight as well, I believe.
Yeah. So you're seeing more and more stalkers these days going over to copper because they're wanting that for entering into the food chain. Copper bullets obviously aren't being quite as heavy as lead or stability and all the rest of it. So they're now bringing down for red, seeker and fallow from 100 grains down to 80 grains. It's the same muzzle energy and the same foot poundage as it was always before, but you are now obviously able to use an 80 grain copper bullet or lead bullet if you need to be able to shoot a deer. For roe, it stays the same at 50 grains as long as you can meet the muzzle velocity and energy.
And I think the advantage of obviously something like the Alpex 4K in the low light situations, as we were saying before, the hour before dawn and the hour after sunset, that low light capability really does give you an advantage over, say, a traditional scope.
It's a huge significant change. Those last 20 minutes, as you'll know, in certain areas, especially for seeker deer, in management plans that I've been on and cull evenings and all the rest of it, those last 10, 15, 20 minutes of light are really key to be getting them, especially if they've been shot at a lot. They tend to go nocturnal pretty quickly, and it can be the same with the reds and the same with the fallow as well. So yeah, those first 20 minutes and those last 20 minutes can be very key if you've got big targets to hit, big cold plans and everything else. So yeah, it's a significant change and very important, and probably one that should have come up there obviously a little bit sooner than now, but we're here now, so all good stuff.
Yeah, that's it. And I suppose the advantage of the guys who have got the night vision licenses with the thermal as well, especially with the new Stellar 2.0, which we'll be talking about a little bit later on in the show, giving that identification more clarity is crucial, obviously, because we still have to work by the laws, so but no, that's great. Thanks very much, mate. Danny, thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you. I know it's cleared a few things up for me. Okay, so next up, we have a pre-recorded video by Mark Ripley, aka 260 Rips, on the intro of the Alpex 4K LRF.
Right, well, this is the much awaited HIKMICRO Alpex LRF. So a lot of people will be quite familiar with the original Alpex that came out. Very popular scope. A lot of people very happy with that. A lot of people bought that and are still using that. This is basically the latest version of that with a few little tweaks. Now, I like the original Alpex, but there were a few little things that did kind of niggle me a little bit with it. One thing was that the menu was on the side here, and being a left-hander, I like to carry my rifle on the right shoulder, and I found if I left this on, then that centre menu button will get knocked, and then you go to shoot the rifle, and all of a sudden you would be in another language, different reticle settings, and God knows what else. So that was a bit of a nightmare for me with that scope. The other thing which got me a few times was the buttons were quite closely together on the eyepiece here, and it was very easy to, when you're trying to record in the dark, to hit the power button, which would then start a countdown, which you couldn't stop on the original one, so you had to wait for it to finish counting down, shut off, and then fire it back up again. Well, HIK have addressed these issues. They've now put a little raised sort of bar between the buttons and made the power button a lot easier to sort of locate compared to the other buttons, so it's not so easy to do that. There's also a little light that comes on, very tiny little LED light there just on the button, so you know it's on. Again, that also helps you to locate the power button. They've also, in this model, they've incorporated a laser rangefinder. This works in conjunction with a ballistic program that they've also built into this scope. So literally all you need to do is to touch the button on the back here, pings the laser rangefinder, and then that will highlight a mark on the vertical crossbar, so it actually moves the diagonal cross, the centre cross, down the crosshair, and moves it down onto the vertical bar where you need to be aiming for longer range shots. I took this out the other night and shot first full foxes of the year with it. Had a little play around with that. I shot a bunny with it at, what was it, about 230 metres or something, or 230 yards, just to sort of to test it, and it worked really well. So I think that if you've got it all set up right, that will be a very useful addition to the scope. You have obviously, of course, got the colour day screen as well. Another feature actually with this one is it automatically shifts from night to day depending on the ambient light. The zoom function's on the top here. Another nice feature that they've incorporated on this model is you can also play the footage back via the scope. You haven't got to go into the app, find the video you've just taken and play it back. You can do it all through the eyepiece on the scope itself, which is a really nice little feature. So if you are interested in one of these scopes, you can pre-order them from Scott Country International on their website, and these will be coming in, I believe, end of January. So there you go, a quick rundown of the HIKMICRO Alpex LRF.
So it looks like the best day and night vision scope can be improved, and for 84999. Next up is Tim with his review of the Stellar 2.0 and how it compares to its predecessor. But before we do that, let's answer some of the questions in the chat. So a quick look. Is there anything there? Okay, Paul, will the 4K lens cap fit the previous model Alpex?
Good question. I've not tried it yet. I will test it if we get chance in a break, and I will tell you. So I've got a 4K on a rifle out the back, and I've got my old Alpex very close to it, so I'll be able to just try it when we're watching another video. So I'll get back to you on that, but yep, I'll find out.
Fantastic, thank you. Could you tell me the main difference between the new LH Lynx? Anyone want to take that, Joseph?
Yeah, I can take that if you want to, yeah. So the 1.0 had a 35 millikelvin sensor in it. The new one has a sub 20 millikelvin sensor in it. We've also got an OLED screen in this one. You will have, you're going to see and hear this all later on anyway, a replaceable 18650 battery, whereas the previous one, I believe, was a battery which was actually inside the unit itself. So if you're out for a long time, you're going to be out for a significant amount of time. Obviously, you can change it out. Those are some of the main differences. In slightly further down the range, the mid-range model, which I've got today, the LH19, you've got an adjustable lens on the 19, whereas you didn't have that before in the previous version. So I'll come back onto some of those points a little bit later on in the show and give you a bit more information.
Fantastic. Okay, and one more. Paul, this is probably for you, I think. When do you think the Lynx 2.0 will be available in UK?
If I had £1 for every time I've been asked a question of when something going to come into the country, I wouldn't be sat here, mate. I'll be on a beach in the Seychelles, I can tell you. I wish I knew the answer. I think they are going to be coming. Listen, whatever I say is going to be wrong. So I would like them here yesterday. Obviously, same with the obviously as we've gone on, the Habroks and the Alpex 4K LRFs and all that kind of stuff. We are just waiting for everything to come through, shipping and whatever, but stock is starting to become available. So hopefully very shortly, the Lynx 2.0, I've had one on test, and Joe will testify. I'm blown away with it. It's fantastic bit of kit. So well worth waiting for, guys.
It's
phenomenal.
It definitely is absolutely awesome. For a sub £1,000 thermal, I never thought you'd see something like that for sub £1,000. No. 2-3 years ago, if you went back and you put this in my hand,
it's £2.5 grand. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, Tim, over to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Tim from Scott Country National. What I'm going to talk to you about now is the new Stella 2.0. So this is the new body. So as you'll be familiar with, everyone that's had their eyes on the Alpex 4K. So this is the new body shape of the Stella. That's been adopted, and you'll see now the buttons are pronounced. So you've got your power button, your record, and your palette button on the top there. The menu's moved to the top with a 18650 on the other side. Main big differences in the internals from this one, from the previous model where the Stella 1.0 was a 40mm focal length with a sub 35 millikelvin net D sensor. The new Stella 2.0 has adopted still the 640-512 resolution with a 50mm focal length and a sub 20 millikelvin net D sensor. And I can honestly tell you, hand on heart, this is probably one of the clearest thermals I've looked through, and as in a rifle scope. There's others on the market there that were pretty good, but this is something else. And I don't think the footage does it justice, but as you'll see from the videos, you can just see the clarity, and it is perfectly at home out in the open field. So we'll watch the footage now, and you can make your minds up yourself. Cheers. So there we go then. As you can see from some of that footage, it was absolutely crystal clear, and it's a vast improvement from the first generation Stella to the new 2.0. So having used this device now for a few weeks, I can safely say it is a vast improvement from its predecessor, and these will hopefully be available. They're available now for pre-order, and you can get your hands and have a look through them at the British Shooting Show over on the stand. So come over, take a look, and see for yourself what a popular scope and what a versatile scope these can be. And I'm happy to take any questions in the comments if anyone wants to fire one over. Danny?
Oh, thanks, Tim. I think actually what we might do actually is take a couple of questions on the Stella if there's a couple in there.
Yeah.
Just literally, you've queued it up, it's there. Anything there, James?
No.
Okay, no, not at the moment. So if you have any questions, please engage with the staff here. We've got the guys here, we've got the experts, and they should be able to answer your questions. So please do whack your questions into the comments bar, and we'll come around to it. Okay. Thanks, Tim. Now we've got Joseph, who's going to be comparing the new Lynx 2 version over to you, Joseph.
Thank you very much, Danny. So yes, I've got with me today the HIKMICRO Lynx 2.0. This is the LH19. This is the mid-range model of the three that they do. There is a 15 and a 25mm lens. Like I said before there, when we were talking about the differences, this 19mm lens is adjustable. At the front, the LH15 is focus free, and the LH25 is also adjustable at the front. So all of the models come with a 384 by 288 12 infrared detector. The thermal sensitivity on all of them is sub 20 millikelvin net D, which represents high thermal sensitivity. And even in the harshest conditions, this is very, very clear. And yeah, in comparison with the previous Lynx, which was sub 35 millikelvin net D. So the screen at the back here, the display is a 1024 by 768 new OLED screen, which is 0.39 of an inch. We call it the Falcon Mini because it's very much, as you can see from the build and the shape of it, built on the same sort of body concept and has a really good same sort of build quality and feel to it. And this is also IP67 waterproof. The new buttons along the top here are a bit more pronounced, and it's a bit more user-friendly because of that than the previous Lynx version 2, or 1.0, should I say. It comes with a replaceable 18650 battery, lasting 6.5 hours. And I've got to say, yeah, let's have a look at some of the footage here, guys, and see what everybody thinks, and I'll talk a little bit more afterwards. Okay, so as you guys can see from the videos there, this thing is crisp, it's clear, and it's really a joy to use. It's lightweight, it's easy to carry, it's a perfect stalking tool for what I've used it for anyway. I've used fancier thermals than this, but the majority of the work that I'm doing with my deer is somewhere between 50 and 200 meters in woodland. And yes, I have some open fields and that kind of thing as well that I'm shooting on. But to be honest, you're going to see those deer anyway without needing a thermal to spot them. So for me in woodlands, to be able to pick up what I needed to pick up and yeah, see what I'm shooting at, this has really, really helped me along. And yeah, for sub £1,000, it's an unreal thermal, as you'll see from the images. You know, the quality of it is just really, really good. And like I said before there, you know, there was once a time where £1,000 would have got you very, very little in the thermal world. And this thing here is set to break the market, I think. So yeah, really, really good bit of kit. Just on this one, the LH19, again, just going back to this specific model, which is the sub £1,000 model, the detection range for the LH19 is 900 meters. And the identification range for deer on this is 250 meters. So again, coming back to what I was talking to you about there just a minute ago, saying this for woodland stalking and for open field, for your regular stalker who's going to be shooting less than 200 meters, is a perfect, lightweight, easy to fit in the pocket tool. So I've got to say, I like it. I don't really want to send it back tomorrow, but I'm going to have to so that you guys can see it at the British Shooting Show. So yeah, any questions, guys? How are you? personally, just answering that question, would always charge an 18650 outside of the scope, just because it's a safer way of doing it. I think it comes with the charger in the box anyway. You probably could charge it in there. I wouldn't do that anyway with any scope, especially if you paid £1,000 for it. So, and yes, the difference is definitely noticeable. Definitely noticeable. The sub 20 millikelvin sensor is brilliant. And yeah, Tim's just confirming in the chat that we're talking here. Please charge your 18650s outside of the piece of equipment itself. Save damaging it. Yeah. There's another question I saw coming up there. The deer's bouncing to the beat. Yes, that's my little sick deer who lost its back leg a little while ago, and one that's not going through the selection process of going into the food chain, because even though she's injured, she seems fine. She's been like that for 6 months and she's getting on well. So yeah. Right, back to Paul, if Paul wants to answer any questions, or Danny, or anybody else wants to come back in.
Yeah,
I think
thanks,
what
Joe.
we'll probably do is we'll take a moment. If we'll bring everyone in, and we'll have a quick go through the questions. There's quite a few questions in the chat, and yeah, we'll go from there.
I was just going to say, Danny, sorry to interrupt, about Joe's obviously done a brilliant job there of explaining the Lynx 2.0. I think another thing that I found the advantage of the new Lynx is when you're scanning, and I do quite a lot of deer stalking up in Scotland, and we do a lot of scanning from the road. Obviously, with the Lynx, with its wide field of view, you don't get that motion sickness or seasickness feeling that you normally get if you're holding something up to your eye whilst you're traveling. And I think with the way that works, it's a great tool for scanning large areas of hillside or more without having the disadvantage of feeling sick. Obviously, that to me is a prime advantage that I use the Lynx. Obviously, I use a set of Habrocks, but you know the Lynx is fantastic while I'm in the truck just scanning.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Do you want to give a quick answer back to the Alpex there, Paul? There's a question on the Alpex cap, lens cap.
Yeah, the lens cap. I quickly ran out, knocked over a vase of flowers on my way out, so I'm very popular in the house right now. Yeah, I went out, I swapped the lens caps. They're totally interchangeable, so they fit either.
Brilliant. Okay. So I think if we just take a moment, we'll just go through some of the questions. I believe we've got a couple of questions up here. So
questions.
Alpex scope.
I can fire that one out if you want.
Go on, Tim. I was just about to say you can do that via the app if you haven't got a laptop or computer.
Depending on the only real time you've had to buy a computer was, or not actually buy a computer. There's a UK specific software that was Optical. This is when the majority of the UK market was complaining about their crosshairs being off center. So there was a UK specific software launched that you had to download a divcap file, drop it in the DCMI, which is the root folder of your Alpex, and that centralized the crosshairs. Once you went off the base mag, it moved the crosshairs to the center, and that kept everyone happy. So that was the UK specific firmware, which you had to use your computer. Any other firmware that comes out for any of the devices, if there is an update for it, it'll be identified on the HIKMICRO app. Connect it, download it, ping it together, away you go. Always factory restore after you've done an update, and everything will be singing tickety-boo.
Nice one, Tim.
Fantastic. Okay. Can the picture on the Alpex 4K be aligned to the main ret?
That's a good question, Jeff. I personally have never tested the Alpex 4K with picture-in-picture because I don't like it. So I don't know if any of you guys have got an answer to that. I'm not a fan of picture-in-picture. So I don't know. I would assume it can be, but then we all know that assumptions. Yeah. So
the test model that I had on, Paul, was different, and
yeah,
the only personal one I've just got now is different. I think it's something along the lines of the laser calibration box, because every video you've seen so far, the laser aiming box is either left of the reticle, it's right of the reticle,
right, yeah.
down. It's all to depend on how your rifle zeroed, or how the scope zeroed on your rifle.
Yeah.
But it all just sits off, because if you're zeroing your crosshair and it's to the left, you're not going to get a central reticle underneath there unless you zoom in and it centralizes and goes back. I mean, Robin, you might have some experience on it so far.
Yeah, so there is an option in the menu to centralize the crosshair if it's off, but it doesn't do that if you've got the picture-in-picture on at the moment.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
That's just for that exact reason that you just mentioned.
Yep.
Gotcha. But I'm sure there'll be an update at some point coming out soon. With that,
absolutely.
Always updating.
If that's being fed in, I'm absolutely certain that will get turned around quickly.
It's certainly the one thing you can say that they take feedback from users. It's a big ship. Sometimes it takes a little time to turn, but it always does. It goes in the direction that the users of the products want it to go, which is great.
Absolutely, Robin.
And I think that's really evident, the fact that if you look at the new Alpex, the way that the things have been taken on board and changes. I mean, some of them are significant, but as Rip said about the way that the menu dial alerts have been moved around, and it absolutely testimony to that process.
The focus was a fairly big one for a lot of users. Said it was really quite stiff. So you'll see in loads of videos now, because there are tons of them about. But most people have adopted having a breakaway coaster on the focus ring of the Alpex, whereas the new one. Same with the Stella. You just don't need it. It's super smooth and dead easy, but not loose enough that it's going to accidentally move of its own accord.
On the point of the Alpex with the new 18650 battery, and I did a little bit of an experiment the other night where I actually run the Alpex completely dead, and I wanted to make sure that we didn't have the issues that we had with the original Alpex, which was everybody used to put the CR123 battery in there and think they could start the unit up, but there wasn't enough amperage power to actually start the unit. So I did an experiment. I put a 18650 battery in the unit. The unit was completely dead, and I have to say I'm now happy to report that yes, it does start the unit, and I got about 2.5 hours out of one battery. That is with a completely dead internal battery. So another great thing that we've taken on board there, with people saying that the CR123 wasn't quite powerful enough. With the 18650 now, it completely changes it. So if you do go out and you've forgotten to charge your Alpex, as long as you've got some 18650s with you, you can still go out and shoot.
Fantastic. Okay, next question. Just got the Alpex LRF delivered today. Having to convert from FPS to MPS and ballistics. Is there an easier way? Also, in ballistics, zero to range remains in the meters, even though the LRF is converted to yards. Yep,
I can answer that one. There will be an update, and it's going to be feet per second, obviously, and a yardage. So everything will be in imperial as well. That was one of the things that I definitely highlighted when I was doing the testing. Having said that, all manufacturers of ammunition now have meters per second on the box as well as feet per second, and it's all available on the internet anyway.
Fantastic. Next one.
And there's one there for about the sensor rate there, wasn't there?
No, just look at this one here, Paul. Are you aware this is more of a HIK question?
Go on, mate.
You see that one?
Sorry, mate. I just. Why was the ballistic calculator LRF not introduced on the new Stella? That's a good question. Can't put me on the spot, really, guys. But you know what it's like. Things move forward at an incredible rate in technology, and I'm sure that yeah.
I think also, Paul, that just I didn't mean to throw you under the bus there.
No, it's all right,
but actually, when you think about it, though, there's been some significant changes from the Stella 1.0 to the 2.0.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
The chassis is different. So actually, if you're trying to keep a style and get it sleek, I get it. You've gone. If you look at other brands as well, you go with that one, and then they may come with an LRF version, etc.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I mean, the key.
I've got an opinion on it, because it's something I've said in some of my videos in the past. I've been lucky enough to be using the Stella pretty much from day one. and I've said from the outset, it's definitely the best thermal rifle scope I've used. And I've never really felt the need to have a laser rangefinder on it, because I've typically always had a spotter with a laser rangefinder on it. High-end users, professionals alike, will have more than likely a spotter with a capability. And it's simply, I don't think, it's just something that's not required on a unit of that caliber. You know, that scope's all about detail and distance and the ability to acquire your target really quickly. And typically, if you've gone over to the scope, it's probably already in range, because you might have been watching it come in through your spotter anyway. And it's typically at that point, when it's in range, you go over to your rifle to take the shot. So
Yeah.
I would say that's why they've probably kept it off, and I say good for them. It also helps keep the price down. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good point, Robin. Good couple of points, actually. See if James got any more for us. Here we go. Oh, one for you, Joseph.
Does it have a PIP capability? I believe it does, actually. Paul, can you back me up on that? I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure that it does have it. Again, like yourself, I don't really like the picture-in-picture mode.
No, I'm not a fan, but it does have the ability to have it if you need it.
I thought it did, yeah.
I think that goes a lot of us. So we all started off when it first came out. It was like, "Oh, this is awesome, picture-in-picture," but then actually, there's a few bits that it actually becomes off.
I find it too distracting. You know,
Absolutely. Right. I'm looking at two different crosshairs.
I don't have the attention span. Absolutely, I don't have the attention span for that.
And I have to say, obviously, with Danny, with the new, especially the Alpex and the Lynx, when you zoom in with the Zoom Pro, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You don't really need that picture-in-picture anyway these days. It is a fantastic now with the Zoom Pro that we've got on a lot of the models. So, but obviously we can try these at the British Shooting Show.
We'll come on to that in a minute.
I was going to say, mate, because we've got that dark tunnel there. So
absolutely. Okay, I think, have we got any more questions? I think we'll just take a couple more if that's possible. Thank you.
So, does the Lynx identify smaller birds or animals easily at night? I would 100% say yes. So the detection range for deer is 250 meters, but if you were out shooting rabbits and you wanted to see the difference between a rabbit and 80 to 100 meters, I don't think you'd have a massive problem with it. The difference between a fox and a badger at the same kind of distance, absolutely no problem. The difference between a roe and a fallow, 150, 200 meters, I could, I've done it. I've been out in the woods myself, no problem whatsoever. Birds, an owl flew through. I think it was in the video actually, or it's definitely on one of the ones you guys have seen online. You can tell it's an owl at night. And yeah, smaller birds, depends on how close you're going to get to them.
No, absolutely. It's like a lot of these, and I think actually, it's a nice segue into the next discussion point, or what's coming next. Okay, so that's the three products reviewed. Now what we're going to be looking at is the difference between night vision and thermal scopes. Over to you, Robin.
Yeah, thank you. So as a user of both, then I'm going to just briefly cover the difference between night vision and thermal. I think the flagship Stella 2.0 and the Alpex 4K, as we've already seen, both share the same chassis, and they're based on a 30mm standard scope design, and that makes mounting them really simple, and it gives you plenty of options. However, they do belong to two very different technologies. I think it's first of all worth mentioning that night vision has evolved. So night vision isn't just night vision anymore, it's both day and night. And for a while, older night vision products probably struggled when the light was fading. It was an awkward time for night vision devices because you couldn't use night vision mode fully. It was too light and it was too dark for day mode. But the Alpex definitely can replace a full day setup, and it will keep going right through that twilight awkward period into total darkness. I recently had a trip to the Forest of Dean, and we shot sort of squirrels, actually it was. We were waiting for deer, nothing really came along. And we had several squirrels and we were shooting almost into darkness. And the scope footage, you would think it was still kind of 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was pretty impressive. Occasional shooters, new shooters that want to shoot in the day and night, deer stalkers that might want to shoot the occasional fox, but not necessarily want the expense of having two setups. Certainly rat shooters and content creators. Professional shooters, they can all use the Alpex 4K because it covers that many bases. It's a super crisp image, detailed. It's got ultra precision accuracy, and it just makes everything such an immersive experience as well, with a super crisp OLED display eyepiece. It's large, and I think with the major advancements really of the ballistic calculator on board with the LRF, everybody can now shoot like Mr. Ripley as well, which is quite a good thing. Dedicated night vision, that's made way now for these day-night scopes, and they do it all, and they do it all now in super fine detail. They do, however, still rely on light from either an external source, be that the sun during the day, or an IR torch at night time. So if an animal's well camouflaged against the backdrop, and if you can't see the eye shine at night, then it can still be difficult to pick them out. Plus, if you have, for example, a slightly misty or foggy night, then you might struggle to actually see anything. And this is where thermal scopes really excel, because day, night, rain, even in the fog, they don't require that external light of any description. So they see infrared radiation, some clever wizardry inside, transfers that image, turns it into an image, and features that on a sharp display in the eyepiece. So with the ability to change the different color palettes to suit the user's preference, they're very customizable. I mostly prefer the black hot setting when I'm out, because I think it gives a really good contrast against from the target, the animal, to the backdrop. They've got fantastic fields of view, and that altogether makes target acquisition immediate. You just see everything. So mice in the middle of a field. And moreover, the distance that you can detect at is far superior with thermal as well. I'm regularly spotting foxes 400-500 yards, no problem. And unlike day-night scopes, you can, to a certain degree, see through vegetation as well. So if you've got foxes or deer lying in vegetation, sometimes with envy you'll miss that, but with thermal they stand out, and that's why the police use the thermal cameras on helicopters, because they always catch the bad guys. No one gets away. So thermal scopes are often the choice of professionals, dedicated pest controllers, or high-end users, as they do require a bit more of an investment. But as we've discussed this evening, technology has moved leaps and bounds, and it's now more affordable than it's ever been. So I think, to finalise or to summarise, if you ask me the difference in the actual technologies, in short, day-night scopes are definitely better for detailed identification. Thermal, 100%, is the go-to thing for target detection. Yeah, that's the difference between the two technologies.
Fantastic. I think what we'll do is we'll just have a quick video of that, just to show some of that, Robin, and I wouldn't mind having a quick chat with you, actually, a few points. So let's have a quick look. Thanks, Robin. I know which I prefer. I think some of the other
Same.
aspects as well that you know, to be aware of, and people, we speak at the shows with people, the benefits of, as you well know, using thermal for shooting, especially in woodland blocks, etc., or in land where there's footpaths or people just basically cut their own detail, is that safety aspect. So when you're looking at your quarry, you can literally see behind. I mean, there's a picture of a fox a minute ago, and there's a rabbit and a hare beyond, but you see every bit of detail. And if there's a heat source there, let alone a human-sized target, you're going to pick that up from a safety perspective. It's bang on. And that point you said before, well, about the IR. What I used to find was the IR wide out sometimes with cover and not seeing what that is, and you can see it with a thermal spotter, but you can't get eyes on it because you're getting flashback off the cover in front of it. That frustration, that actually pushed me to thermals.
That's right. Yeah, 100%. You're dead right. You know, I lost count of the amount of times where, as you probably know, nowadays I'm pretty much full thermal, especially for foxing, because I just think you see more. I believe it's safer because I think you can see way past the target. But I've lost count the amount of times, certainly in the past, where I've probably had to turn around, come home because a mist had rolled in. And as you said, you turn your IR lamp on and you just see white, you know, and there's no really getting away from that. And that's when the jump into thermal for most people is, you know, changes the game. As they say, it's a game changer, don't they? And it certainly did for me and the guys that I go out with.
Yeah, I think, in fact, there's a question in the chat, I think, about safe backstops. See if I can come up here. 2 seconds. And essentially, is it Pete Robinson? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's. I kind of agree and I disagree.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
100%. It's a valid argument, but I would say only in certain scenarios.
Yeah, I think
again,
when you look at
I go around my ground weekly,
Yeah.
so I know which direction behind, and you know, the thermal scope will see 2 kilometers, over 2 kilometers. So if you're looking at a fox at 100, 200 yards, you can see if there's a house behind it for over a mile. So you know,
and the fidelity as well with the sub, you know, we're talking sub 20 net D on a lot of these scopes nowadays with the thermals. And that detail, I mean, when you're looking at 300, 400 meters, you can see the leaves on trees, etc. That, you know, the problem we've got is there's a lot of, you know, until you've actually used these scopes in anger and been out with them, you know, it will take some convincing. I get that, but thankfully, I'm not going to steal any Paul's sandwiches. There will be some comparisons to be had at the British Shooting Show, and I'll save for that. Okay. I think there was a question in relation to IR for the Alpex. I'm not 100% certain what time, if James could pull that up. And I think Paul was going to have a look at that one, please.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Obviously, now with the new algorithms that the 4K is using, I've done some experimenting. I've got an awful lot of IRs. I've got all the popular IRs, PBIRs, Cirrus, all the Dark Knight, all of those that I test when I get the pre-production models out for testing. So I've got a full range. I must have 20 or 30 IRs that I use. But just to tell you how good the new algorithm on the Alpex 4K is, it actually works incredibly well with 940 as well. So those guys who are a little bit nervous about foxes, that are a little bit lamp shy with regards to IR, 940 also works with it. So I've done a full range. So any really nice, well-made IR illuminator will work really well with the Alpex. And of course, it's got the smart IR, so there's no chance of it whitening out. And the new algorithms as well help it cut through fog and mist, etc., and rain. So yeah, it's fantastic. So yeah, feel free to use any IR. I can't recommend one in particular because I use all of them, but the ones that I've tried all work really well with it.
I use the Alpex just very briefly on IRs as well. So I use the OPRO KL52, which is a relatively inexpensive, cheap IR, but it's great for close work. It used to be really good for ratting, and then I'd have to go to a laser, you know, not that long ago to use for foxing. But I was looking at hares too. And one that you could see a hair clear as you like at 367 yards, and that was just using a relatively inexpensive IR. Its ability to suck in light and display a picture is to behold. So again, you know, if anyone phenomenal. Gets the chance to have a look through one in the low light conditions, they'll see exactly what I mean. It's a real step forward.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Robin. What I'll do now is I'm literally, Paul, for yourself now, answer some questions on the Q&A session. But before that, look at the HIK combos. So, Paul, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. At HIKMICRO, we like to give incredible value for money and give you guys out there the best possible equipment without compromising on quality. So as we all know, that the products that we're producing these days are absolutely fantastic quality. So what we've done, we've put together a production combo recommendation of what we think would be relative to what people want to use our products for. So you've got a pest controller. He's a guy who goes around, he's shooting rats, he's shooting feral pigeons, as you can see on the screen there. An LH19 that will see you out to about 750, maybe 800 meters. So adequate to see foxes, also brilliant at close range for rats, rabbits, feral pigeons, stuff like that. If you add the brilliant combination with the Alpex LRF there to that, you've got an unstoppable product there that you can put on an air rifle package or a rimfire package for you guys who are pest controllers, all for, as you can see there, £1,849.98. I mean, that is incredible value for money for what you're actually getting there with a sub 20 millikelvin sensor, the laser range finding LRF with ballistic calculator on the Alpex. So that is a nice, I wouldn't say it's an entry level, because none of these, you know, we don't take for granted that people have got a lot of money to spend, but what we're trying to do is give you the best value for money for what you're going to use your products for. Moving up now, if you're a fox shooter, I mean, if you're an occasional fox shooter who goes out maybe a couple of times, 3 times a month, you know, the Falcon FQ35 and again the Alpex LRF 4K. That's a great combo. The FQ35, nice wide field of view, sub 20 millikelvin sensors, as all our thermals are, with a 640 resolution sensor, £2,648.99. Good saving on that as well. For those guys who go out regularly, a little bit like myself, I'm out when work's not committing me to being away from home. I'm out 3-4 times a week. More sometimes, especially over the summer when the nights are warmer than they are at the moment. So the Condor CQ 35L laser rangefinder, again, great combination with the Stellar SQ50 2.0. The laser rangefinder giving you the benefit of being able to give you a distance on the target that you're shooting at, and obviously the incredible, as Robin shown earlier on in the video, the quality of the image with the Stellar 2.0, giving you an overall brilliant package that will suit everybody down to the ground. And if you look at that price there, for £4,899.98, you're getting 2 high-end thermals for less than £5,000. I mean, that would have been a dream a couple of years ago, but now to have those with an LRF in a laser range finding spotter and having the brilliant SQ50, just, it blows my mind. I mean, I work for the company and I get to play with all these toys, but it still blows my mind. Just to give you guys a heads up, the Alpex LRF, I've got 2 on order. I think they're absolutely amazing. So I don't get any special treatment. I still have to wait like everybody else for any of the products that come in. Moving on to deer stalking, Habrox, they're a game changer, complete game changer. Daytime, nighttime, laser range finding. It's got built-in IR that you can focus, and you can have wide angle. You've got GPS on it, everything that a deer stalker could want in a package. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen the Habrox yet or actually felt them in your hands. Please feel free to come and see us at the British Shooting Show, and we'll have them on the stand. They are a conventional size pair of binoculars in size and shape and weight. They are fantastic. You add that combination with the daytime, nighttime, and light gathering capabilities of the Alpex LRF 4K, and just look at that. A thermal pair of binoculars, laser rangefinder, and a night vision with ballistic calculator LRF, £3,648.99. Talk about value for money. Everything that we do comes with our 3-year manufacturer's warranty, 10-year on the sensor. Our repair centre is in Lutterworth in Leicestershire. Full support from all of our guys. We've got a hotline. We update everything through our app. We're just trying to do the best we possibly can for you guys out there, so you get the best value for money. We know how hard money is to come by, so all we want to do is make sure that you guys get value for money.
Fantastic, thanks, Paul. So
You're welcome.
you mentioned the British Shooting Show. So I'm aware that obviously
Yes, mate.
HIK and Scott Country International will be at stands E2 and 3. And I believe we've got a special dark tunnel.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a bit of
yeah, well, last year was an amazing show at the NEC. I mean, we really did put on our best stand for everybody to come and have a look at our products, and we had everybody here. You know, we had Robin popped in, all the guys from our headquarters over in China came over, and they'll be there again this year. But additionally, this year, in association with Scott Country International, we've got the dark tunnel. So yeah, we'll have a facility where people can come in and not only try the products on the stand and look at girders as people do, or somebody walking down an aisle. We'll have a dark tunnel where it's completely dark, and you'll be able to test out our thermal and night vision products in the dark, which is an amazing addition to the British Shooting Show, I think.
No, fantastic. And just a point from me, the only way you really know which device suits you as a hunter, as you said, those combo packages are really good. Is actually to go and touch and feel and get the weight. And actually, at the Shooting Show is a classic example. And obviously the night vision, the events that you run around the country.
Well, that's the other thing, Danny. I was just about to mention that. You know, we do a road trip around the country. I've got a demo van that's full of all of our products. And I can drive the demo van to any destination, and we will turn up at your local dealer, and you'll be able to touch and feel and look through all of our products. And the demo van is available, so if you want it to come to a dealer near you, get in touch with your dealer and get them to contact me, and I'm happy to bring the demo van from Tain in Scotland, as I have done, all the way down to Cornwall. Wherever you want me to go, I'll go.
Fantastic. No, and that's really important, because as you well know, you know, you're buying a product, you see a picture of it, and actually you haven't got it in your hands and felt the weight of it, and that those little things, that nuances, you know, the difference between the Falcon and the Condor. Yeah, there's an LRF, but actually, do I want it more sleek? You know, those kind of bits and pieces, which is really important. It's
silly little things. I mean, I had a conversation with the chap, and he said, which do you prefer, the Condor or the Falcon? And I said, I prefer the Condor when I'm shooting foxes, etc., because I shoot off the top of my truck. So the Condor is square and it's flat, whereas the Falcon is round, and that might roll off. You know, I know we work for the company, but I don't want to be dropping a £3,000 thermal on the floor. So you know, it is that. It's just getting used to the products, getting them in your hands, and making sure that, you know, you're happy to hand over your hard-earned money. It's a lot of money to be handing over, and you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely. But just go back to the British Shooting Show, you know, and everything else. So all these products are available at Scott Country International, and to find out more, go to www.scottcountry.co.uk, and also, as we've alluded to before, it's stand E2 and 3 at the British Shooting Show, where the whole team will be there, and look forward to seeing people and actually giving some more advice and some, you know, answer those technical questions, or those questions that you have that you don't want to put onto the chat here. I think we've probably got 5 minutes, so what I'll probably suggest we do is before we do the announcement of the winner, Paul, thanks so much for what you do. We'll get the team on, and we'll just go through some last questions.
Pleasure.
And perfect. Okay, so we'll spin the dial. Here we go. Right. Okay.
I'm just looking at that. My answer to that was I would go for a scope rather than an add-on. It does everything these days, daytime, nighttime. You don't need it. The rear add-on, I think its days are numbered. Shooting position's awkward. For me, I just think a scope just fixed on the rings. Yeah, scope for me
Rabbits
all
are
day
often
long.
out rabbits are often out in that twilight period that I was
Exactly,
talking about, where
Robin.
it's really
Yeah.
it's awkward, so that
Yeah.
you know the scope will. It's like
Yeah.
shooting in daytime, even when it starts to get dark. So definitely the scope.
I think
And
what
I think-
also has helped it is the cost. I mean, you look at if someone's looking at, I can't afford the $849.99, but the legacy Alpex, they're still available, aren't they?
Yeah.
And so there's
549.
you're talking circa what, five and a
549,
half?
549.
Yeah, literally 5,500. You know, that for something that's got all that capacity, to me that's a no-brainer.
And the good thing with them as well, quick release mounts, and you got a rail on every rifle. One scope does all for every caliber.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
That's where we're going with lots of this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Works for me.
And especially with the multi.
How much of a
profiles you've
cost
got.
saving is that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Okay. Spin the dial. Let's see what comes up next.
I would imagine that the issues were probably the battery issues that the early Condors had early on. I think those have all been sorted now with firmware update, etc. I think you guys can testify to that. But now looking at the Habrox, which on one level, I would go for the HQ personally.
It's the same, not the same
Yeah.
sensor, but it's a sensor, isn't it? And it
Yeah,
is a huge,
yeah.
huge level sensor.
That's a
Yeah.
common. Is that worth point? It's a common theme throughout the range, isn't it? That the Q is the better of the two.
Yeah, the
sensors
Q,
in
the
range.
H is a 384 sensor and the Q is a 640 sensor.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for two more questions then. Let's see what we got.
Right, so it doesn't have bullet weight, but it has speed, velocity, coefficient, initial velocity at muzzle, scope, height. I've tested the BC on several different calibers from 22LR all the way up to my 7mm shooting times Westerner, and I can safely say with absolute confidence that the ballistic calculator works without bullet weight.
Yeah. I've had it out and still at 400, no drama.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. And then let's see.
Ooh, what a great question.
Mhm.
I think we will still see changes that will be massive improvements. Obviously, I work for a company that is market leading, global leading in everything that they produce with regards to sensors. And some of the stuff that our guys have produced over the last 3 years, bearing in mind we're fairly new to this industry. We only came in, 3 or 4 years ago. And you look at the advantages that we've taken over the last 3 or 4 years, and it's like anything, isn't it? I mean, it's not like the moon landings. This technology isn't going to get lost. So I just think it's just going to go upwards and upwards, and identification, I think, is critical.
Look at the evolution of digital cameras.
Exactly, mate. Yeah.
I remember not that
Mobile
many moons
phones,
ago
mate,
when
everything.
you had 1.3 megapixel cameras, and
Yeah.
and
Listen,
they've
I can remember
more than
I can remember-
quadrupled. 10 times the amount now. So it's only going to go upwards, and it's just going to get better and better.
I learned to write code on a
UHD.
Spectrum, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep
So-
going up and up.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much. Just a reminder to everyone, British Shooting Show coming up very soon. We'll be at stand E2 and E3 with the dark tunnel to come and trial the kit and see it all in action. And as we said earlier on, getting the feel for it and the weight difference between the different models and your own personal taste is really key. Okay, so the moment you've all been waiting for, the winner of the new HIKMICRO Alpex 4K LRF. Oh, before we go there, actually, just to confirm the answer was Explore. So the winner is Mr. Jordan McKnight. So can I please ask Jordan if you could message the HIKMICRO UKIE page with your details, and the team will pick it up there. Congratulations. I'm sure you'll take great care of that, and be very popular with your shooting pals. So Thank you for watching the Night Vision Show. A big thank you to the guests tonight, Paul, Tim, Joseph, Robin, and James in the background, and not forgetting Hick and Scott Country for providing this opportunity for the shooting community. This is Danny from Scott Country International, out.